What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I want to do an overview slash review on a very interesting budget option from Byrd Knives. This is the Byrd Meadowlark 2. Byrd Knives is the essentially budget option that's offered through Spyderco. They are made in China in a completely different plant than the Taichung, Taiwan, or the Seki City, Japan, or Golden, Colorado. They use far less than premium materials, and therefore cost much less money. I was not aware of this knife up until only recently. I was aware of the Byrd brand. I didn't realize that they essentially made some popular Spyderco models in less expensive versions and just put the Byrd logo on there. So I was very interested in this, and I have a lot to say about it. Let's go ahead and get some quick specs here. The overall length on the Byrd Meadowlark 2 coming in at just shy of 7 inches, looks to be about 6.8 inches overall. The blade length is going to be about 3 inches in total, but your cutting edge is going to be just over 2.5, maybe 2.6, something like that. So, interesting size. Let's do some size comparisons here real quick. Against the Ontario Rat Model 1, you can see there Rat 1 coming in at 8.6 inches. Against the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, PM2 coming in at 8.3 inches. The Benchmade Griptilian coming in at about 8 inches. And last but not least, the thing that it's actually designed after, the actual Spyderco Delica. Now, this is interesting because, like I said, this is the knife that it's designed after. This is essentially a budget Spyderco Delica offered by Spyderco's budget factory. The Spyderco Delica coming in at 7 inches overall is just a little bit longer, though I want to point this out. Let's see if we can zoom or focus here. The cutting edge between the two is truly identical. In fact, if I were to give cutting edge to one over the other, nah, they're identical. These are dead equal cutting edges. So you must be getting a little bit more handle on the Delica. Yeah, there's more handle on the Delica than there is on the Byrd. So that's what we're looking at there. Very interesting. Now, these two have been reviewed together into the ground on YouTube. Both of these are very old knives, and many opinions have been shared. I hear things like, yeah, the Byrd costs less, but man, the fit and finish stinks, and the handle material is just plain plastic. It's not even FRN. I honestly don't know how to tell the difference between plastic and FRN. They both feel like plastic to me. But there are some compelling reasons to buy this knife even still. Both of these knives still have actually right now they have major competition in the price ranges. The Delica is being quickly shoved out of the best knife in this price range title. It's getting shoved out of there pretty quickly by newer knives coming around. And this knife, being in the $20 to $25 range, Gonzo doing things like G10 and D2, even though, Gonzo's kind of a brand that, has some controversy surrounding it. They are giving knives like this a run for their money. But I think there's still some pretty compelling reasons to buy this, so we're going to go over that. Like I said, price on this guy, I paid $22 for this knife. Well, actually, it was through DLT, and I had some rewards points, so it actually ended up being a $6.43 purchase. I was compelled by this knife, and then when I found out it was being offered by DLT and I had those reward points, I thought, oh my gosh, for $6.50, it's hard to say no. It'd make a great video. So, I want to go over the anatomy of this knife real quick, even though it is exactly the same as the Delica other than total length. You have a fully flat ground blade that is, it's perfectly acceptable for the, as far as like the finish goes and how it's ground for this price range. I don't have a problem with it. Don't have too much wonkiness in the cutting edge. The blade came with some very minor scuffs, but nothing really all that crazy. You've got this Spyderco hole that is different it's just a distinguishing factor, different than the standard Spyderco hole in that it just has that extra area up there cut out, but it functions exactly the same way. Sorry, having trouble closing my Delica with one hand. Then you've got, of course, the body down here, which is very, very similar to the Spyderco Delica, just in length it's different. The pattern is a little bit different. The multi-directional texturing is a little bit different. But where everything is located, it's pretty much the same. Same pocket clip positions, same area that you depress to get rid of or to unlock the lock back, and pretty much the exact same pocket clip. You just have extra handle there on the Delica. So, you know, multi-directional pocket clip, fully ambidextrous, given that it is a lockback. And let me be clear about this. This one, you know, I've seen like some pictures of wonkiness right here. This one looks to be pretty straight, where it locks up right there against the tang of the blade and the spine back here. That looks to be pretty straight and solid. There is no up and down blade play, up, down, left, or right. It's very solid. It does release and feels pretty solid. It's not quite as snappy as the Delica. Everything just feels a little bit less. But 25 to, I mean, this is the ZDP version of the Delica, and I paid 95. I think those go for like 105, 110 on Blade HQ. Let's say it's the 75 to $85 regular Delica. Let's say it's 75 bucks. Let's say you find an amazing deal on a Delica on eBay or Blade HQ, or not Blade HQ, Amazon or eBay. You pay 75 bucks, free shipping on a Delica. Probably not the case, but let's say you find one like that. So we're at a $50 difference between these two. I don't feel $50 more quality, honestly, in the Delica over this Byrd. I think the Delica is one of the ugliest knives that's out there, and I think the Byrd is one of the only knives, the Byrd version of it is one of the only knives that's even uglier. The hole is ugly. The logo is just, look at that. That looks terrible, but that's fine. Reviewing this knife purely from a functional standpoint is really where I'm going to go with this. So, you know, yeah, it's super ugly, but I'm going to try and steer away from that for the rest of the video, because that's just a personal opinion. Let's stay on fit and finish here for a moment. Centering on this guy came reasonable. It's not perfectly centered, but it doesn't rub. I'd like to point out that this Delica that has not been used hardly at all is actually starting to want to rub. It doesn't quite rub yet, but it wants to. I'm sure I could fix that by just tightening it up real quick. But you know, really about the same there on centering. There are obvious, you know, little things, just the contour, or not the contouring, but the chamfering around the edges. You know, these are a little bit sharper on the edge, the Byrd anyway. The hardware, I don't know, it's a little more polished on the Delica. All the way around the Delica just looks a little bit more refined. The Delica feels a little bit more solid on the lockout and the snap shut. The Byrd feels solid, just not as solid as the Delica, and it snaps shut, it's just not quite as snappy. But does it work? Yes, absolutely, 100%. It works just fine. I don't have any problems with the function of this knife or the fit and finish for what I paid for it. Again, I know there are knives out there that you can get for 20 to 30 bucks that are probably way better than the Delica, but I'm going to give my reasons for why you might still want to buy this knife. So just bear with me here. Let's do the cut test. I'm actually going to do the Delica first and then the Byrd. Again, cut test is not a definitive cut test. This is just paper. You know, your mileage is going to vary depending on what you're cutting, how thick the material is, how thick the blade is, things like that. This is just a test to give you as the viewer just a minimal impression of resistance on the edge based on what I say after I feel it. So, take a pass with the Delica. The Delica, very slicey. Take a pass with the Byrd. So, the Byrd is also very slicey. There's just a hint more resistance. I imagine it's because the final cutting edge on the Delica is ground a lot, you know, with a lot more attention detail than the edge that's on the Byrd. And I'll try and get a close up here, but you can kind of see, you know, the Byrd just feels a little bit more toothy than the Delica. It just does. You know, you can see, you know, it's fine, but it's just not, it doesn't look quite as good as the Delica. The Delica just looks like they took more time on it, and that's probably why, but the Byrd is still plenty slicey. It will absolutely, I mean, we're talking like, it feels like 90% of the Delica, honestly. Now, the big difference is that in steel, with the Delica, with the standard production versions, you have either VG10, which is meh, but it takes a pretty fine edge from what I understand. And then you have this version that I've got in my hand, which is the ZDP 189, which is an exceptional steel for edge retention and slicing ability, blah, blah, blah. With the Byrd, you have one choice, HCR 13 MOV, which is essentially Chinese 440C. 440C, an American well-rounded steel that was really popular back in like the 80s and 70s. I don't know, a lot of steels were made. It used to be top dog a while back. Now it's very, very mediocre, and you generally only find it on budget knives. Now, let's go into that a little bit more. For the people who are going to be buying a knife like this is obviously not a hard-use knife. This is a knife that I would carry in an office. This is a knife that I would expect people to buy if they we're only going to use a knife 2 to 3 times a day on things like opening letters, opening small packages, maybe breaking down a few boxes here and there. So in that sense, do you really, you know, do you need a ZDP 189 folding knife? Probably not. Is it more fun to carry a nicer ZDP 189 folding knife? Absolutely, yeah, definitely. But do you need it? No, probably not. You know, if you're going to be cutting lots and lots and lots of cardboard all day, every day, then this steel is going to need to be resharpened over and over and over again. Now, on the bright side, it is a stainless steel, so you don't have to worry too much about corrosion resistance. And it's also a steel that's very easy to resharpen. It's not going to take from what I understand, I've never actually tried to sharpen this, it's not going to take like the most fine razor edge, but it's going to take an edge that will work just fine for day-to-day tasks. If you have a some stropping leather or something, and you use this 3 times a day on little things, and maybe you strop it at the end of the week, you're totally fine. You know, people come down really hard on HCR 13 MOV, but this steel on a $25 knife uses a regular day-to-day EDC, maybe in an office setting, very light use EDC scenario, is totally fine. There are a few steels that aren't acceptable for that type of thing. You know, yes, it's more fun to carry S90V, S110V, M390, M4, you know, steels like that. Obviously, it's more fun. But, you know, even like somebody like me who's a huge steel snob, and I'm a big, you know, like most of you guys, I'm the same. I love premium cutlery. But, you know, will this knife do what is expected of it in that field of use? Yeah, 100%. It's totally fine. So, you know, that's kind of where I was going there. Carry philosophy, we kind of already went over that. Office setting, light use EDC. What I don't like about it is it's ugly. I kind of already mentioned that. I don't like plastic, anything like that. But that's not a big deal because of the price. Here's what I do like about it. The price and the ergonomics. The biggest thing that sets this knife apart to me from the original is the fact that it's got a forward choil. You can see right there. On this one, you have this odd divot. Nick Shabazz brought this up too. This one has a forward choil. Why doesn't the Delica? The Delica should have a forward choil. That's just awkward. The ergonomics on this one are, the main reason I purchased this is the price, what it was essentially, which was a Delica, a cheaper Delica, and that forward choil. When I felt the Delica for the first time, I thought, boy, you know, at the 95 bucks I paid for this, I'm kind of disappointed. Even at 75 bucks for the VG10, I wouldn't be feeling it. I would love this knife a lot more if it was just way cheaper. You know, if there was a downgraded version of this, you know, with crappier steel and it was just like a $20, $30 knife, I might enjoy it a lot more. Lo and behold, I didn't know this. Lo and behold, Byrd makes it. 25 bucks, 20 to 25 bucks, HCR 13 MOV. It's pretty much the same knife. And the forward choil for me was an added bonus. I bought this within maybe 10 minutes of being aware of it for the first time. And I'm very happy with that. Remember, lockback, fully ambidextrous, multi-positionable pocket clip, fantastic ergonomics, functional flat ground blade shape. easy deployment. Yeah, there's kind of a double clutch putting it away, but that's the same way the Delica is. This is one of the most straightforward, purpose-built or utility-built folding knives that exists. For those of you out there who are like, I don't care about pomp and frills, I want a pocket knife that's going to be dependable, that functions, that I can just use as a tool and put it back in my pocket, and I'm just going to do regular, normal knife stuff with it. It's hard for me to recommend anything right now other than this. This thing is running on phosphor bronze washers, actually, as far as I know. Boy, you know what? I haven't even checked on that. I assume, yeah, it looks like there's phosphor bronze in there. But also, full steel liners. They're countersunk, but it does have steel liners that go all the way to the butt of the knife. Come on now, let's focus. So the FRN is being braced by steel. You have the same construction, essentially, as the Delica. You have this lock back, adding additional structural integrity because it also acts as a backspacer. And it's a lock back. Now, not only is this great for somebody who's maybe you're into knives or not really into knives, you're just looking for a cheap functional tool, this is great. But also, for those of you looking to buy somebody who's not a knife person a cheap functional gift that represents a very good standard for a good folding knife, I think this is the best knife to gift to people. It is, I mean, everybody knows how to operate a lockback. Everybody knows. It doesn't matter if your friend's left-handed, right-handed, prefers tip up or tip down, it's fine. Because this knife has it all. On top of that, you know, I've got medium, large size hands. Yeah, I can get my hand all the way around this, no problem. Even back here, I can get my hand all the way around it. Ergonomics are great. Forward choil, ability to choke up. Blade's not crazy long. You know, for legality reasons, it's going to be okay for the most part. You've got single-handed easy opening, two-handed easy opening. You've got a blade that's ground in a way that's going to be, you know, functional for a lot of people. You know, for somebody's first knife, it's really hard, in my opinion, to get better than this. You know, yeah, you could get them a ball bearing flipper and all this crazy stuff, but do they need that? You know, do they need that for the first knife? Maybe, I don't know. Everybody's friends are different, but this knife, in my opinion, makes the best first pocket knife for just about anybody. Now, for me, honestly, I like this knife so much. I don't know, you know, and for those of you who are new to the channel, my EDC is an Inkosi right now, or the Shaman, or a bunch of other stuff. But my primary EDC right now is the Inkosi. Listen, I'm not enough of a snob to where I'm like, I have to have a $500 knife in my pocket. I like this knife so much that I would carry it if I decide to keep it. But at $6.50, there's plenty of reasons to keep it around as like an ultra beater. And there's also a bunch of reasons to do a giveaway on it too. So I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do a giveaway or not. I know most people would prefer I give it away because at least somebody benefits. One of my viewers will benefit if I do that. But I really, really honestly like this knife. I legitimately do. You know, I'm not trying to just blow smoke. Maybe I got one with better than normal fit and finish or function. You know, maybe I got lucky. But I really like this knife. You know, the pocket clip, I love the Spyderco pocket clip. I'm not feeling any flex in the handles, which is surprising. I honestly thought I'd have flex. But, you know, this isn't a knife that's going to have the same warranty as Spyderco. I don't know, honestly, if it'll last as long. But, you know, do I think that you could get 10 solid years out of it at minimum? Yes, I think you could. I think this knife would serve its purpose well for 10 years if you don't abuse it. You strop it regularly, maybe every few months you put some oil on it or something, obviously depending on what you're doing with it. But man, what a great $25 knife. You know, I say 25, but you can find it for 20. I've seen it out there. Just fine. You know, if you can get over the plastic part, I don't mind plastic on a $25 knife. I don't care. You know, that's fine. The fact that it's backed up with steel, has a great ergonomic shape, and it functions is just, it's so, this is closer to a tool, just a regular tool, than just about any pocket knife. No, it is, in fact. This is as close to, it is a tool. This is 100% a tool. This is not, you know, it's not a fidgety toy. It's not flashy. It's nothing. It's just a handle with a blade. It's designed well. It has a good ergonomic shape, and it's going to work. And for those of you who are, you know, have a minimalist mentality and you're looking for something ultra light, ultra functional, this is it. By the way, we haven't weighed it. I don't know what I was thinking. Let's weigh it. 0 out. Okay, so let's weigh the Delica first, actually. Spyderco Delica, 2.36. Let's weigh it again. 2.33, something in there. How about the Byrd? 2.33. 2.3. It weighs exactly the same as the Delica. So minimal differences, not quite as nice looking. Feels about the same in function, maybe lacking a little bit. At least $50 less than the Delica. At least. At 25 bucks, and the justifications I've given you there, I mean, it's a hard knife to say no to. You know, there's a lot of reasons to not like it, but man, with that price and as good of just a little everyday tool that's it's designed to cut and it's going to do it. You know, get it out, use it, put it away. You know, it's going to work for that. It's not going to take up a lot of room in the pocket. So whether it's for you or it's for somebody else, I think this is an excellent knife. It absolutely will go in my list of my most recommended EDC knives of all time. Absolutely. I know a lot of people are going to hate me for this. I like this version better than the Delica. And that I'm going to lose a lot of any credibility that I may have had. I might be losing a huge chunk of that by saying that just now. But I'm sorry. But now, you know, ask me 3 years ago, maybe the Delica was in a better spot. But there are so many things I'd rather have than the Delica for the money right now. If the Delica was 50, 60 bucks, it'd be a different story. But at 75, 85 bucks or 95 or 110 for the ZDP version, I'm not as compelled by it, you know, but 20 to 25 for this, yeah, that makes sense to me. So I like this more than the Delica. I said it. I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend anybody. That's honestly what I think, and I always try to be honest with you guys. So anyways, that's going to be pretty much it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was entertaining or informing. As always, you don't have to agree with me. It's just I'm just a guy with a camera and a bunch of knives. But if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you would like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel because there's definitely more coming. Thank you again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.